Hello everyone, I'm back with new film reviews for you, and this week I decided to catch up on the much-hyped adaptation of one of Stephen King's most famous stories. What happens when a group of outsiders in Derry, Maine come face to face with Pennywise the Dancing Clown? We find that out in It. I'm at that age where horror films don't really scare me anymore. They can have chilling imagery, certainly, and solid suspense too. However, when it comes to being genuinely unsettling, it might be the first to do that in a long time. A large reason for that is how the film develops the characters and taps into their fears. There's a relatable factor when it appears before them as the very things that frighten them the most. And we're given enough time to learn about them, and the screenplay especially allows them to be distinct from one another. I recall each of the 7 children and their personalities quite easily, because of how much I got to know them through the course of the film. The young actors playing the roles are excellent too. Jaden Lieberher might have the trickiest role to play, and he does a great job, as does Finn Wolfhard playing a character that's quite different from his role on Stranger Things. However, the standout is probably Sophia Lillis as Beverly, the most sympathetic of the Losers Club. As for Pennywise, he more than manages the task of being creepy, thanks to both the fantastic makeup and Bill Skarsgård's performance. I like how director Andy Muschietti doesn't overly rely on Pennywise too much. He pops up on occasion, but the film does not shove Pennywise in your face every second. There is variety when it comes to the scares, and I also want to commend Benjamin Wallfisch for his musical score. Despite being set in the 1980s, the film does not rest on nostalgia points. There are references, but not in a, hey, remember that from the 80s, wink wink kind of way. The main flaw I found was with the bullies, who came across as just straight up psychopaths rather than actual schoolyard bullies. The other residents of Derry had more of an underlying and realistic, sinister feel to them, more so than the bullies. Nonetheless, it more than delivers the scare factor, and I look forward to part 2. Next up is Dylan O'Brien and Michael Keaton as CIA agents in American Assassin. This is the kind of film where if you play the Team America soundtrack alongside it, they would sync up perfectly. This is very much one of those overly patriotic, flag-waving kind of movies, which is fine if the whole film did not feel so airport paperback-like. Dylan O'Brien's Mitch Rapp is not a compelling lead, and I found myself far more interested in Michael Keaton as his CIA trainer and Taylor Kitsch's villain. The two managed to take fairly one-dimensional characters and add some life to the proceedings. The highlights of the film are definitely when they're on screen together. I also admire the film throwing in more hand-to-hand combat rather than relying solely on gunplay. However, there was never a point where I found the mission or O'Brien to be remotely interesting or compelling. It goes through a lot of the expected beats, and even when they do attempt to throw a curveball, these are twists seen a mile away. Simon Lathan is also wasted as a CIA director, whose primary roles are to spout exposition and to reprimand O'Brien and Keaton when the script calls for it. The climax also feels completely in contrast with what came before, and feels like what they blew most of the budget on. But hey, kudos to the production designers for a realistic IKEA set in one scene. American Assassin is so middle-of-the-road and generic in its obvious heavy patriotism, that's a film I will frankly forget about in a couple of days. Thank you for watching this week's reviews, and I will see you next time.